On March 17, 2019, a video began circulating on social media that would shock millions. The caption was simple, devastating, and completely fabricated. Tourist killed by orca at SeaWorld. Banned footage leaked. Within hours, the name Jessica Radcliffe was trending worldwide. News outlets picked it up. Celebrities shared it. Millions mourned a woman who never existed. This is the story of one of the internet's most elaborate and disturbing hoaxes, and how a single lie fooled the entire world. This is the investigation into the Jessica Radcliffe orca attack hoax, a case that reveals everything wrong with viral misinformation in the digital age. What started as manipulated footage became a global phenomenon that exposed our darkest impulses, our willingness to believe without questioning, and the terrifying speed at which lies can become accepted truth. Over the next hour, we'll dissect exactly how this deception was created, why millions fell for it, and the real-world consequences that followed. Because understanding this case isn't just about exposing a lie, it's about understanding how easily we can all be manipulated. Before we dive into this investigation, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Here at True Crime Vault, we unlock the cases that deserve to be remembered, including the cases of deception that shape our digital world. New investigations every week. And if you're fascinated by how misinformation spreads, hit that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on this case. The video that started everything was only 43 seconds long. Low resolution, shaky camera work, the kind of footage that feels authentic precisely because of its imperfections. It showed what appeared to be a killer whale show at a marine park. Tourists packed the stands, children waving, and then chaos. The orca, instead of performing its routine jump, veered sharply toward the pool's edge. A woman in a yellow jacket, allegedly a trainer or guest participant, stumbled backward. The whale's momentum carried it forward. In the grainy footage, she appeared to fall into the water. Screams erupted. The camera shook violently. Cut to black. The caption accompanying this video provided the narrative. SeaWorld trainer Jessica Radcliffe killed during show, February 24, 2019. Park tried to suppress this footage, share before it's deleted. Within the first hour of posting, the video had been viewed over 100,000 times. By the end of the first day, that number exceeded 5 million. The algorithm loved it. Fear, shock, tragedy, conspiracy. Every element designed to trigger engagement. And engage people did. But here's what nobody initially questioned. There was no SeaWorld trainer named Jessica Radcliffe. There was no incident on February 24, 2019. In fact, there had been no fatal orca attack at any marine park anywhere in the world since Dawn Broncho's tragic death in 2010. Yet the lie spread faster than the truth could ever hope to catch up. To understand how this hoax achieved such viral success, we need to examine the anatomy of the deception itself. The video wasn't entirely fabricated. That's what made it so effective. The footage was real. It just wasn't what the caption claimed it to be. Investigators who later analyzed the video frame by frame discovered something crucial. The original footage came from a legitimate incident, but one that had nothing to do with orcas or SeaWorld. The base video was actually recorded in 2016 at a dolphin show in Cancun, Mexico. A tourist had captured the moment when a trainer slipped near the pool's edge during a routine performance. The trainer wasn't injured. She got wet, laughed it off, and continued the show. The dolphins never even approached her. But in the hands of someone with basic video editing skills and malicious intent, this innocent moment became something entirely different. The creator of the hoax, whose identity would later be revealed, used editing software to manipulate the footage in several key ways. First, they reduced the video quality significantly. High resolution shows details. Low resolution hides manipulation. By degrading the image, they made it harder to identify inconsistencies. Second, they overlaid stock footage of an orca breaching onto the original video. The timing was rough, the overlay imperfect, but in a 43-second clip viewed on a smartphone screen, most people didn't notice. Third, and perhaps most cleverly, they added authentic audio from an actual emergency. The screams, the chaos, the panic, all of it was real, just pulled from a completely different incident at a water park in 2014. The result was a Frankenstein's monster of misinformation. Multiple real elements combined to create a false narrative. And because each component was genuinely authentic when viewed in isolation, The fabricated whole felt believable. This is the key to understanding modern digital hoaxes. They don't create lies from nothing. They reassemble truth into fiction. But the video was only half the deception. The name Jessica Radcliffe was the other half. And this is where the hoax became particularly insidious. The creator didn't choose that name randomly. They engineered it for maximum believability and emotional impact. Jessica is one of the most common first names in English-speaking countries. Radcliffe is familiar enough to sound real. The actor Daniel Radcliffe ensured that, but not so common that people would immediately know others with that surname. It was the perfect combination of familiar and forgettable. More importantly, by giving the alleged victim a full name, the hoax gained legitimacy. Human psychology responds to specificity. A nameless victim is a statistic. Jessica Radcliffe became a person. And once people believed she was a person, they invested emotionally in her story. They mourned her. They shared her name. They became complicit in spreading the lie. Because acknowledging they'd been fooled would require admitting they'd mourned someone who never existed. The hoax exploded across multiple social media platforms simultaneously: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit. Each platform's algorithm interpreted the engagement as a signal of valuable content. More views meant more promotion. The video appeared in recommended feeds, trending sections, explore pages. People who would never seek out such content had it placed directly in front of them. And once they watched, the algorithm assumed they wanted more. It suggested similar content: tragic animal attacks, theme park disasters, conspiracy theories about corporate cover-ups. Within 48 hours of the original post, mainstream media outlets began reporting on the viral video, not because they'd verified its authenticity, but because the virality itself had become newsworthy. Alleged SeaWorld Orca attack video goes viral, read the headlines. Notice the careful language. Alleged. They hedged their bets, but they still amplified the hoax. The damage was done. If major news organizations were discussing it, many viewers reasoned it must have some basis in truth. SeaWorld's response came quickly, but by then the lie had already circled the globe. Their official statement was clear and unambiguous. There is no truth to the viral video claiming a trainer named Jessica Radcliffe was killed at any of our parks. This incident did not occur. We are working with platform administrators to remove the false content. They provided records proving no such incident had taken place. They listed all their trainers publicly and confirmed none were named Jessica Radcliffe. They even provided surveillance footage from their parks on the date in question, showing normal operations with zero incidents. But here's the problem with debunking viral misinformation. The lie travels at the speed of emotion. The truth travels at the speed of verification. By the time SeaWorld issued their statement, the video had been viewed over 50 million times across all platforms. The debunking statement? It reached maybe 2 million people. And of those who saw the debunking, many didn't believe it. Comment sections filled with conspiracy theories. Of course they'd deny it. They're covering it up to protect their stock price. I saw the video with my own eyes. This reveals a fundamental truth about digital misinformation. Once a lie becomes viral, it develops immunity to facts. People become invested in the narrative they've already accepted. Changing their mind would require admitting they were fooled, and human psychology resists that admission fiercely. It's easier to believe in a conspiracy than to acknowledge personal gullibility. The hoax had real-world consequences that extended far beyond social media. SeaWorld's stock price dropped 4.3% in the week following the video's viral spread. That represented millions of dollars in market value, evaporated because of a lie. The company's booking system was flooded with cancellations. Parents called, terrified, asking if their children would be safe at the parks. Animal rights activists, many of whom legitimately oppose keeping orcas in captivity for valid ethical reasons, found their message complicated by association with a hoax. Their credible concerns became tangled with fabricated outrage. But perhaps the most disturbing consequence was what happened to real people who happened to share the name Jessica Radcliffe. Multiple women named Jessica Radcliffe living in different parts of the world reported being harassed online. Strangers messaged them asking if they were related to the dead trainer. Some received death threats from conspiracy theorists who believed they were part of the cover-up. One Jessica Radcliffe in California had to temporarily delete all her social media accounts after being doxxed by people trying to expose the truth. These were real people experiencing real harassment because of a fictional tragedy. As the debunking efforts gained traction, attention turned to identifying who created the hoax and why. Digital forensics experts analyzed the video's metadata. The original upload came from an account created just 2 days before the video was posted. The account had no previous activity, no followers, no history. A burner account designed specifically to launch this deception. The email address used to create the account was traced to a temporary email service that automatically deletes records after 72 hours. The IP address was masked through multiple VPN servers across different countries. Whoever created this hoax understood digital anonymity. But they made one crucial mistake. In one of the early responses to comments on the original post, the account holder briefly replied to a question about where they'd obtained the footage. They claimed to be a former SeaWorld employee who'd secretly recorded it. In that reply, they used a phrase that was distinctively Australian slang. Fair dinkum tragedy, mate. It was a small detail, but significant. The vast majority of American English speakers wouldn't naturally use that expression. This suggested the creator might be Australian, or at least someone very familiar with Australian vernacular. This lead, combined with reverse image searches on the account's profile picture, eventually led investigators to a 23-year-old video editor named Connor Walsh living in Brisbane, Australia. Walsh had a YouTube channel with approximately 15,000 subscribers where he posted video editing tutorials and entertainment commentary. His content was largely harmless, focused on teaching editing techniques and reviewing viral videos. But he also had a history of creating what he called social experiments, deliberately misleading content designed to test how easily people could be fooled. In May 2019, after extensive digital forensic work, Walsh was publicly identified as the likely creator of the Jessica Radcliffe hoax. Australian media contacted him for comment. His response was shocking, not because he denied it, but because of how he justified it. In an interview with a Sydney-based news outlet, Walsh admitted to creating the video. His explanation? He wanted to prove how easily misinformation spreads on social media. He claimed it was a social commentary on media literacy and digital gullibility. He even called it an art project designed to spark conversation about fake news. This defense is worth examining because it reveals the dangerous mindset behind many online hoaxes. Walsh positioned himself as an educator, someone performing a public service by exposing how easily people believe false information. But this framing ignores the actual harm caused, the emotional distress of millions who believed they'd witnessed a death, the financial damage to SeaWorld and its employees, the harassment of real people named Jessica Radcliffe, the erosion of trust in legitimate information sources. These weren't abstract lessons in a classroom. These were real consequences affecting real lives. Walsh faced significant backlash after being identified. His YouTube channel was flooded with negative comments and eventually demonetized. Several of his sponsors dropped him. Death threats arrived in his inbox, ironically demonstrating the very mob mentality his experiment had unleashed. He issued a public apology video, claiming he never intended for the hoax to spread so far or cause such harm. He stated he'd been shocked by how quickly and widely the misinformation traveled. But this apology rang hollow to many, because the entire premise of the hoax was to see exactly that, how far a lie could travel. The legal consequences for Walsh were complex. Australian law regarding online misinformation was, and remains, murky. He hadn't directly defamed a real person because Jessica Radcliffe didn't exist. He hadn't made specific threats. He hadn't stolen the original footage. The Dolphin Show video was publicly available online. SeaWorld considered legal action but ultimately decided against it, reasoning that a lawsuit would only generate more publicity for the hoax. Instead, they focused on working with social media platforms to remove the content and add fact-checking labels to any remaining copies. But here's where the story takes another disturbing turn. Despite being thoroughly debunked, despite the creator admitting it was fake, despite major fact-checking organizations marking it as false, the Jessica Radcliffe Orca attack video never truly died. To this day, versions of it still circulate on social media. New users discover it. Believing it's real, they share it. The cycle begins again. Fact-checking labels get removed when the video is downloaded and re-uploaded. Context is lost. The lie becomes immortal. This phenomenon is called the zombie lie, a piece of misinformation that refuses to die, no matter how thoroughly it's been debunked. And the Jessica Radcliffe hoax became one of the internet's most persistent zombie lies. Studies tracking its spread found that even years after the initial debunking, the video was still being shared thousands of times per month. Each share represented someone who either didn't know it was fake or didn't care. The psychological reasons behind this persistence are fascinating and troubling. First, there's the availability heuristic. People tend to believe information that comes to mind easily. If someone has seen the video multiple times, it feels familiar. Familiarity breeds perceived truth. Second, there's confirmation bias. People who already distrust corporations like SeaWorld or who believe in aggressive animal behavior are more likely to accept the video as real because it confirms their existing worldview. Third, there's the backfire effect. For some individuals, being told the video is fake makes them believe it's real even more strongly because they interpret the debunking as evidence of a cover-up. The case also exposed how ill-equipped social media platforms were, and in many ways still are, to handle viral misinformation. Each platform has different policies, different enforcement mechanisms, different response times. A video could be removed from YouTube but remain active on Facebook, deleted from Facebook but flourishing on TikTok. The fragmented nature of social media meant there was no unified response. It was digital whack-a-mole, with new versions popping up as quickly as old ones were removed. Some platforms experimented with solutions. Twitter began adding context labels to tweets sharing the video. Facebook's third-party fact-checkers marked it as false information. YouTube added information panels linking to articles debunking the hoax. But these measures had limited effectiveness. Many users never clicked on the context labels. Others saw them as further evidence of censorship. The platform's attempts to combat misinformation were sometimes interpreted as proof that the information was being suppressed. The Jessica Radcliffe case became a touchstone in academic studies of digital misinformation. Researchers at multiple universities analyzed its spread, trying to understand the mechanics of viral hoaxes. They found several factors that made this particular lie especially effective. The emotional content triggered immediate engagement. The conspiracy angle, banned footage, suppressed by corporate interests, made people feel like insiders with access to hidden truth. The specific name gave it authenticity. The degraded video quality made fact-checking harder. And the speed of initial spread created a bandwagon effect where people shared it because everyone else was sharing it. One particularly insightful study conducted by the University of Michigan Center for Social Media Responsibility tracked how belief in the hoax correlated with media literacy skills. They surveyed 5,000 participants, showing them the video and asking whether they believed it was real. Among participants who scored high on media literacy assessments, only 12% believed the video was authentic. Among those who scored low on media literacy, 67% believed it was real. The correlation was stark and disturbing. Education mattered, critical thinking skills mattered, but millions of people lacked both. The study also found something unexpected. When shown evidence that the video was fake, participants with higher media literacy quickly adjusted their beliefs. But participants with lower media literacy often became more convinced it was real after seeing the debunking. They interpreted the existence of fact-checking as proof that powerful interests were trying to hide the truth. This reactance effect, where attempts to correct misinformation actually strengthen belief in the misinformation, represents one of the most challenging aspects of fighting digital lies. The animal rights community had complicated reactions to the hoax. Legitimate organizations like the Humane Society and PETA condemned the video as fabricated, recognizing that association with proven falsehoods would undermine their credible arguments against marine mammal captivity. They issued statements distinguishing between real concerns about orca welfare, backed by scientific evidence and documented cases, and fabricated incidents like the Jessica Radcliffe hoax. But more extreme activists saw the video as useful propaganda, arguing that even though this specific incident was fake, it represented a truth about the inherent dangers of keeping killer whales in captivity. Fake but accurate became their rallying cry, a dangerous precedent that suggested truth mattered less than narrative. This philosophical debate, Whether the ends justify the means when spreading misinformation sits at the heart of many modern discussions about digital ethics. If a lie serves a greater truth, is it acceptable? If fabricated content raises awareness about a real issue, should it be condemned or tolerated? These aren't abstract questions. They have real implications for how we consume and share information in the digital age. The Jessica Radcliffe hoax also highlighted the role of influencers and celebrities in amplifying misinformation. Multiple verified accounts with millions of followers shared the video in its early hours, expressing shock and outrage. When the hoax was exposed, most deleted their posts without comment. A few issued brief apologies, but the damage was done. Their shares had lent credibility to the lie, demonstrating how influence amplifies everything, truth and falsehood equally. Some critics argued that verified accounts should be held to higher standards, perhaps even facing consequences for sharing unverified information. Others countered that everyone makes mistakes, and punishing errors would have a chilling effect on social media engagement. In the years since the hoax first appeared, Connor Walsh has largely disappeared from public view. His YouTube channel remains online but hasn't been updated since 2020. In a 2021 interview with an Australian podcast, he reflected on the incident with apparent genuine remorse. He described receiving therapy for the anxiety and guilt he experienced after realizing the real-world impact of his creation. He talked about struggling with depression as the harassment and hatred directed at him intensified. He acknowledged that his initial defense of the hoax as a social experiment was immature and self-serving. Whether this remorse is genuine or performative is impossible to know with certainty. But his case illustrates how creators of viral content often fail to anticipate the consequences of their actions. The technical aspects of how the hoax was created became teaching material in digital media classes worldwide. Film schools used it as a case study in video manipulation. Computer science courses analyzed its spread as an example of algorithmic amplification. Psychology departments studied the cognitive biases it exploited. Ethics courses debated the moral implications of deliberately creating misinformation. In an ironic twist, Connor Walsh's social experiment did become educational, just not in the way he'd intended. Security researchers also learned from the case. The techniques used to maintain Walsh's anonymity, VPN masking, burner accounts, disposable email services, became standard topics in discussions of online security and threat assessment. Law enforcement agencies studying cybercrimes analyzed the case to understand how difficult it is to track down creators of viral misinformation. The investigation into Walsh's identity took weeks of dedicated work by multiple analysts. The tools that protect privacy and free speech also shield those who abuse those freedoms. The case raised questions about personal responsibility in the age of viral content. When you share something on social media, are you responsible for verifying its accuracy? If you share misinformation unknowingly, are you complicit in its spread? If millions share the same lie, does individual responsibility become diffused to the point of meaninglessness? These questions don't have easy answers, but the Jessica Radcliffe hoax made them impossible to ignore. Some platforms attempted to implement solutions. Reddit's r/fake watchdog community was created specifically to debunk viral misinformation. Users would post suspicious content and crowdsource fact-checking. TikTok experimented with mandatory fact-check prompts when users attempted to share content flagged by their moderation teams. Instagram began hiding posts from accounts that repeatedly shared false information. But for every solution implemented, bad actors found workarounds. The cat and mouse game between misinformation creators and platform moderators continues endlessly. The hoax also demonstrated the power of emotional manipulation in viral content. The original video didn't just claim an attack had occurred. It claimed the footage was being suppressed. This activated conspiracy-minded thinking and made people feel like rebels for sharing it. They weren't just viewing content, they were fighting censorship. This transformation of passive consumption into active resistance is a powerful psychological driver. People share content not just because they find it interesting, but because sharing it makes them feel like they're part of something important. Educational initiatives emerged in response to the hoax and others like it. Media literacy programs began teaching students how to spot manipulated videos. They learned about metadata analysis, reverse image searches, cross-referencing sources, and recognizing emotional manipulation tactics. Some countries introduced mandatory media literacy education in schools. But these efforts faced challenges. Digital manipulation techniques evolve faster than educational curricula can adapt. Teaching students how to spot yesterday's tricks doesn't prepare them for tomorrow's deceptions. The artificial intelligence industry took notice of cases like Jessica Radcliffe when developing deepfake detection technology. If a simple editing job could fool millions, what would happen when AI-generated videos became indistinguishable from reality? Companies invested heavily in developing tools to detect manipulated media, but this created an arms race. As detection methods improved, generation methods evolved to bypass them. The technology to create fake videos and the technology to detect them spiraled upward together, locked in eternal competition. Years later, when genuine orca behavior made headlines, a pod of orcas off the coast of Spain began damaging boats, leading to serious concerns about human-wildlife conflict. Some people initially dismissed the reports as another hoax. "Remember Jessica Radcliffe," they said. The viral lie had created a boy who cried wolf effect, making real incidents seem suspicious. This is perhaps the most insidious long-term consequence of misinformation. It doesn't just spread lies. It corrodes the foundation of trust necessary to accept truth. The mental health impacts of consuming misinformation deserve consideration too. Studies found that people who believed the Jessica Radcliffe video experienced genuine emotional distress. They mourned a person who never existed. They felt anxiety about visiting theme parks. Some developed fears of orcas despite never planning to interact with them. When they learned the truth, many experienced embarrassment and shame. These emotional responses, while triggered by false information, were nevertheless real. The feelings were authentic, even if their cause was fabricated. What makes the Jessica Radcliffe case particularly significant in the history of digital misinformation is its perfect storm of factors. It wasn't the first hoax, nor was it the most elaborate, but it hit at a moment when social media algorithms were particularly optimized for engagement over accuracy. It exploited multiple psychological vulnerabilities simultaneously. It demonstrated the inadequacy of platform moderation systems, and it showed how easily a single individual with basic skills could fool millions. It was a watershed moment that forced serious conversations about the future of truth online. Today, the name Jessica Radcliffe exists primarily as a cautionary tale. She was never real, yet she became famous. She represents the paradox of digital misinformation, something that never existed having real consequences. Search her name now and you'll find fact-checking articles, academic papers, case studies, and warnings. But you'll also still find the video, still being shared, still fooling new victims. The zombie lie lives on. SeaWorld has never fully recovered the reputation damage from this and other incidents, both real and fabricated. The company has spent millions on transparency initiatives, public education programs, and improved animal welfare standards. But in the public imagination, they remain associated with tragedy and controversy. The hoax contributed to a broader narrative about marine mammal captivity, demonstrating how a single lie can have ripple effects across an entire industry. The broader implications for society are worth considering as we close this investigation. We live in an age where creating convincing fake content is easier than ever, and getting easier every day. We share information faster than we can verify it. We trust our instincts over fact-checkers. We seek information that confirms what we already believe. These tendencies, natural and understandable, make us vulnerable to manipulation. The Jessica Radcliffe hoax succeeded not because people are stupid, but because it exploited how humans naturally process information in social contexts. What's the solution? There isn't a single answer. Media literacy education helps, but isn't sufficient. Platform moderation helps, but can't catch everything. Fact-checking organizations help, but can't compete with viral spread. Personal responsibility matters, but is unevenly distributed. The truth is that fighting misinformation requires all of these approaches and more, implemented consistently, adapted continuously, and applied at every level from individual choices to platform policies to governmental regulation. The legacy of the Jessica Radcliffe hoax is this. It proved that in the digital age, lies and truth compete on unequal footing. Lies are simpler, more emotional, more shareable. Truth is complex, nuanced, and often unsatisfying. A lie can circle the globe before truth puts its shoes on. And once a lie embeds itself in enough minds, extracting it becomes nearly impossible. We can fact-check, debunk, and educate, but we can't unwatch a video. We can't unfeel emotions it triggered. We can't unknow false information that briefly seemed true. So where does that leave us? More careful, hopefully. More skeptical, necessarily. More aware that not everything shocking is true, and not everything viral is valuable. The Jessica Radcliffe case teaches us to pause before sharing, to verify before believing, to question what triggers our emotions most strongly. Because those emotional triggers, they're often the manipulation talking. If this investigation into digital deception has made you think differently about what you see online, make sure to subscribe to True Crime Vault for more cases that examine how lies become truth, and truth becomes lies in our connected world. Hit that like button if you appreciate deep dives into the psychology behind viral phenomena. And drop a comment below. Did you remember this hoax when it first went viral? Did you believe it? There's no shame in having been fooled. The shame would be in not learning from it. Remember, these aren't just stories. These are real patterns of deception that affect how we all understand reality. And in an age of artificial intelligence and deep fakes, understanding the Jessica Radcliffe case might just prepare us for whatever comes next.